Greetings. Well, I've been tagged in a horror video. What are my favorite horror movies? What's the first one I remember? What's my scariest scene? What genre do I like? All appropriate questions for a YouTube channel. So I'll attempt to answer some of those over the next few minutes. First question, oh, by the way, was Aaron Pynn who tagged me. So he's to blame. First question is, what's the first horror movie I remember seeing as a child? Well, you know, going back, there's so many that I recall. Which was first is difficult because I watched them from when I was very young. And no one stands out to me. And so I'm thinking I'm going to go with a vampire movie of some sort. It wouldn't have been Dracula. I don't think that was the first one I saw. It probably would have been a Hammer movie of some sort with Christopher Lee in it, more than likely. Blood of Dracula, Dracula Rises Again, something like that. Don't remember. I also remember The Wolfman very early on. Lon Chaney Jr. Impacted me quite significantly because, well, he didn't want to be the Wolfman, did he? But a curse caused an ordinary man to become that. But certainly I remember all the Universal movies, The Mummy and Frankenstein and all those. Continue to be some of my favorites. And I think possibly because I watched them so young, they become my favorites. All those classic horror movies, The Creature of the Black Lagoon, The Invisible Man, all of those tend to be favorites of mine. What is my favorite horror movie? I'm going to go with Stephen King's It. And the reason I'm going to go with that is because I like the epic quality of that. How in the beginning they're children, and they grow up, and almost all of them make it back. If you've never seen it, it's a pretty good movie. I believe it was a miniseries. I like The Stand as well, but I don't think that's necessarily horror. I think that's more post-apocalyptic. So I'm going to go with It for an epic horror film, and my favorite horror film. What's my favorite horror movie genre? Well, I'm not that familiar with what the genres are. I know Aaron said his was slasher. No surprises there. I guess I'm going to go with monster in the big scheme of things. Classic monster to narrow it some. Universal classic monster to narrow it even more, I suppose. But if I had to just pick a more generic, I'd probably pick vampire. I love the vampire movies of the genre with where the vampire was attracted to a female in particular, which most of the Christopher Lee ones were that way. Of course, the classic Bela Lugosi was that way. Even the Coppola's Dracula was attracted to a woman. I like those. I like the Gothic periods, the Elizabethan period, whatever period that was, where the women with the cleavage and the long dressing gowns, and Dracula coming through the big open French doors, or having the woman open those. To me, those are great horror movies. Not particularly scary necessarily, but interesting nonetheless. What horror genre scares you the most? Not the vampire, obviously, like I just said. In fact, mostly not the classic. There's a lot of them don't scare me, but let's see, what scares me the most? Well, I take it back. One of the scariest movies I've ever seen. It might be the last horror movie that actually scared me, which is the next question. Was What the heck was that called? Huh. It was another Stephen King. Salem's Lot. That was scary. And what was scary about it was it seemed like sort of like all hope was lost. The priest was even not able to take on the vampire. And it seemed like no one was going to be able to. I think that's part of what, I don't know if there's one, genre that scares me the most, but it's the type of movie where even the strong people don't seem to have a chance. A gun's not going to help you. A knife's not going to help you. Nothing's going to help you. Halloween does that to some extent. Friday the 13th, I'm less of a fan of, Nightmare on Elm Street. But Halloween, I thought was scary. That might be the last movie that scared me. That or The Exorcist, and there was something about that again that no one could really. Only a priest could help, but even the best priest was perhaps not going to be able to. So perhaps it's that sense of dread or that sense of helplessness. That's, oh, by the way, how do you like my skull? That's pretty cool, isn't it? It's vodka, Crystal Head vodka. I got 2 of these. They're beautiful. It seemed appropriate to get those out for the just like that. Let's see. Next question. Who was your ultimate scream queen, past and present? I don't really have one, I suppose. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't follow horror that closely to know who a scream queen is, and I'm not even sure that's something I admire. Again, going back to what scares me and or doesn't, I do like it when people are terrified on the screen. So nobody comes to mind, anybody, I suppose. If the situation's scary enough or they seem genuinely scared, anybody will do it. And sometimes, and this sounds somewhat sexist, I suppose, but sometimes women are more frightened than men. And so that can be effective. But to me, when a man is frightened, it's even more effective. So that is a scarier thing when the man is equally afraid. And not that typical, goofy guy that they have in some of these movies, some of these horror movies where he's, just kind of, he's scared of his own shadow type thing. Not that. I mean the man that you think would be the leading man in a lot of movies. When he's frightened, that's when it's scary. So I'll skip the ultimate scream queen. Or maybe I already answered it. What is a concept you would like to see in a horror movie? Let me think about that one. I don't know, so many things have been done. It's hard to say what, is there anything new? I don't know. Is there anything new out there that hasn't been done? Always like a good vampire movie. I'm wondering if they, can they put a new angle on it? The Anne Rice's interview where the vampire tried to do that, and the whole Lestat thing, bringing it into modern times in the book. Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head which is what I'm doing. What do you want to call it? Gonzo. I'm doing it gonzo. I can't think of a genre that hasn't been done, or a concept that really hasn't been played on film. I don't know. Well, Sam was talking about Feligar 517 was talking about. I think he was talking about something about with superheroes and fighting monsters and something. Maybe not so much that, but maybe take a character like Batman or Daredevil. Even the new Daredevil's awesome, by the way, on Netflix. Somebody who doesn't have superpowers per se, and put him into some sort of a horror situation with something. I don't know, zombies or what, but something on the big screen. I don't know. I don't know if that would sell. It just seems like it's too two different genres. I'm not sure I can mix together well, but that's an idea Sam mentioned. And, yeah. It's as good as anything, I suppose. What's your favorite on-screen kill? Well, because I'm not a huge fan of slasher movies and things. And it's hard, to me it's hard to pick. It's hard to even put it in terms of a favorite kill. How about most memorable death in a horror movie? That might be more appropriate, I suppose. Well, I thought the ending of The Exorcist was quite impactful. Where at the end the demon comes into the priest, the devil comes into the priest, and he throws himself out the window to his death. It was impressive because it was a when all else failed, when there was nothing else left that could be done, when the demon couldn't be defeated any other way, when Father Marin failed, and all that was left was for Father Karras to take this thing into him, to goad it into coming into him, which I think it wanted to do all along anyway. It was taunting him throughout the movie. And then to throw himself down the stairs to kill himself and also to rid the child of the demon, the possession. That was pretty powerful death. I know what you're looking for on this one. Whoever created this, you're looking for something, some gore fest where someone was stabbed or gutted and the guts came out or something. I don't know. Those things don't really appeal to me all that much, I don't think. Yeah. I'm gonna go with The Exorcist one. I mean, I'm sure there's some other ones too, but the dread of a movie gets me more than the kill. To me, it's scarier wondering if someone will die than actually having them killed on screen. That doesn't do it for me as much. And I'm sure there has been some shocking. When Halloween had some, all those movies, Friday the 13th, Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, all those had good gory deaths that you're running in one direction, all of a sudden see the guy pops out of the closet or he's around the tree miraculously. The guy can hardly move and yet there he is. You can see I get somewhat frustrated with some of those movies, but I do enjoy them for what they are. I did get the Halloween box set recently, so I do like those for what they are. What is your favorite, speaking of franchises, what is your favorite horror franchise? Well, the Christopher Lee Dracula movies from Hammer were great, I thought. I enjoyed quite a few of those. Halloween is a good franchise. Enjoyed that. There's so, to me, most of the franchises weaken after the first one or two, so it's hard to really pick a franchise. Christopher Lee, Hammer, maybe Halloween. One of those. Who's your favorite horror director? Well, John Carpenter did Halloween. He's pretty good. I mean, Dario Argento is good. I've only seen so many of his movies, though I know Aaron's a big fan of his. Mentioned him in his video. Probably one of those, I suppose. Now let's see, I'm up to the last one. Oh, that is the last one. Well, thank you, Aaron, for tagging me. I enjoyed it, and hopefully people enjoyed the little setup I have here. Enjoyed the brief chat about horror movies. Until the next time, guys. This Dean of DVD saying so long.